Welcome to Top 30. I'm Kristen Smith.
And I'm Richard Bacon, and here are your top 30 stories in 30 minutes.
The flu and how to avoid catching it is a hot topic right now. But did you know that the dog flu is rampant in the canine community this season? Initially, the dog flu, or canine influenza, was confused with kennel cough, but it's actually a combination of two virus strains, H3N2 and H3N8. And by the end of 2017, the only states without an outbreak were Alaska, Hawaii, Nebraska, and North Dakota. Canine flu has symptoms similar to the flu that affects human beings: coughing, a runny nose, watery eyes, and a sore throat. It's also usually accompanied by a high fever and loss of appetite. However, your pup can't tell you what's wrong, so keep an eye out for behavior changes like lethargy and meal skipping. It's passed from dog to dog through bodily fluid, so places like dog parks, kennels, shelters, groomers, or veterinary clinics are more likely to spread the virus. Much like humans, puppies and senior dogs are more likely to suffer from adverse effects from the flu. So if you suspect your dog may be infected, get them to a vet.
Some attendees at the Detroit Auto Show are wondering if the American sedan is dead. Bloomberg reports that American car makers are considering dropping many family sedans from their lineups. Fiat Chrysler killed off the Dodge Dart and Chrysler 200 to focus the business on Jeep SUVs and Ram trucks. Ford has reportedly cancelled a redesign of its Fusion sedan. Sales of the model dropped 21% last year. One analyst told Bloomberg there's a good chance that in 8 years, this segment of the market doesn't even exist. That's because sales of cars in America were down overall in 2017, but sales of pickups and SUVs were up. That trend could be more dramatic if President Trump fulfills his promise to cut fuel economy standards. Car makers could introduce new truck and SUV offerings. Unless gas prices rise dramatically, consumers aren't likely to give up their SUVs. All three Detroit car companies rolled out new pickups for the 2019 model year: the Chevy Silverado, Ram 1500, and Ford Ranger. Industry experts say there's another threat to the American sedan in the near future, and that is self-driving cars. Unless they're sedans too.
Freezing rain, sleet, and snow left Houston a slippery mess this week, causing more than 400 car crashes in just a 14-hour window. More than 25 roads were closed, and the Harris County Sheriff's Office called the conditions treacherous. And former Today co-anchor Ann Curry gave her thoughts on Matt Lauer's sexual harassment scandal, saying she's not surprised.
There was a climate of verbal harassment that existed. I think it would be surprising if someone said that they didn't see that.
Now watch as kids and teachers erupt in excitement as power is restored to their school in Puerto Rico after going 112 days without because of Hurricane Maria. There's no better sound than happy children.
Let's go to the New York Stock Exchange for our Fox Business Minute with your friend and mine, Nicole Pedlides. Nicole, I'm hearing that Lyft is making some big moves.
That's right, Richard. Lyft Concierge program used to be open only to a few companies, but the ride booking service is now open to more companies such as JetBlue to request or schedule rides for other people with real-time ride tracking and reduced transportation costs. McDonald's going green. The fast food giant wants its packaging, we're talking bags, cups, wrappers, to come from 100% renewable or recyclable sources. The company also hopes to have recycling available in all of its restaurants by 2025. Do you have opioids left over in your medicine cabinet and not sure how to properly dispose of them? Well, Walmart is helping customers to get rid of them.
And Nicole, how exactly would this work?
Walmart will offer customers packets that turns opioids into useless gel. The packets contain a powder that is poured into the prescription bottles, and when mixed with warm water, the powder turns the pills into a biodegradable gel that can be thrown right into the trash. Pretty cool stuff. More Top 30 when we return.
Time now for this week's Page 6 Fix. Let's check in with senior reporter Carlos Greer. Carlos, what's going on?
Well, Kristen, it looks like Gwyneth Paltrow's Go-Go's musical is a go-go. The $15 million musical named Head Over Heels was supposed to take over after Bruce Springsteen's limited Broadway run, but with the boss extending his run to June, Goop and her team have found a new place for the show to call home, the famous Hudson Theater. But you'll have to wait till summer for the premiere. Someone who's not a fan of waiting is SNL's Leslie Jones. She waited for over an hour for her fast food to be delivered to her swanky LA hotel during Golden Globes weekend. Needless to say, she was none too happy. And it appears Ed Sheeran must also love himself some good fast food, because it's reported that he has his entourage carry emergency bottles of ketchup at all times. He's so dedicated, he even has a tattoo tribute to it. And that's this week's Page 6 Fix. See you next time.
Thanks, Carlos. For more news and gossip, watch Page 6 TV weekdays. Check your local listings. Next time you have to sneeze, let her blow, because one British guy who held in a sneeze actually ripped a hole in his throat. A new report published in BMJ Journal chronicled the journey of a 34-year-old unidentified British man who went to the hospital after feeling a pop in his throat that eventually became painful and swollen. The cause? Holding in a sneeze. According to CNN, scans confirmed keeping himself from sneezing created tiny tears in the retropharyngeal region, as well as extensive surgical emphysema in the front of the throat and trachea. The case report author, Dr. Wanding Yang, explains, luckily it was a very small perforation. He didn't need any operation. Instead, the man was given antibiotics, fed through a tube for a week, and prescribed rest until he could eat soft foods. Holding in a sneeze can also lead to sinus problems, middle and inner ear damage, ear infections, and a ruptured eardrum. So when you have to sneeze, just cover your mouth. It's safer for everyone involved.
This new year, if you're trying to stick within a food budget or on a diet and struggling, you are not alone. According to the Washington Post, grocery stores use consumer psychology to sell items shoppers didn't plan on purchasing. Here are some tips to avoid becoming a victim of these kinds of schemes. For starters, it might seem like a no-brainer, but never go to the store on an empty stomach. Marketing techniques like giving samples and scent marketing when stores infuse the air with smells like fresh baked cookies are designed to derail your food plan. Likewise, unhealthy products are typically placed at eye level, which works doubly well for products marketed to children like cereal. So you may want to avoid these areas altogether if the temptation is too much. And really, the best defense for these situations is implementing a good offense. Dietitian Christy Brissett says, plan your meals for the week, write out a list of helpful items and stick to it. However, planning all your meals for the week is sort of joyless. Just order everything online and never set foot in a grocery store ever again.
Who's the most popular player in the NBA? If you go by jersey sales, the answer is Steph Curry. The Golden State Warriors guard tops this year's list just released by the league. Curry is kind of scrawny and undersized compared to most NBA players, making him relatable to most fans. And his amazing shooting ability from long range doesn't hurt. LeBron James' Cavaliers jersey came in second this year. At one point, King James led the NBA in jersey sales for 6 straight years. And rounding out the top 3, another Golden State Warrior, Kevin Durant. The reigning Finals MVP is in just his second season with the Warriors and is enjoying widespread exposure to more casual NBA fans. And just in case you're wondering, Golden State and Cleveland top the league in team merchandise sales, with the Philadelphia 76ers finishing in third. So, Richard, you are talking about how hardworking Americans are working even harder?
Yes, Kristen, some Americans are working a historically high number of hours each week. Labor Department data shows manufacturing and construction workers are working the longest hours. They logged an average of about 42 hours per week in the second half of 2017. That is the second highest average since 1945. Part of the reason why Americans are working more hours, the national unemployment rate is hovering around 4%, the lowest level in almost 17 years. So there is more work, but fewer people to fill those positions, and current employees are picking up the slack. While the increased hours are leading to bigger paychecks, critics say overworked employees could lead to lower productivity, which would hurt businesses in the long run. The National Park Service Advisory Board had 12 members until this week, when 9 quit. The board is supposed to advise the federal government and the Secretary of the Interior on the management of national parks and monuments. The group blames Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke for failing to meet with them even once since taking office. Departing chair Tony Knowles wrote in his resignation letter, "Our requests to engage have been ignored." Knowles told the New York Times Zinke appears to have no interest in continuing the agenda of science, the effect of climate change, pursuing the protection of the ecosystem. That is his opinion, but if true, it's astonishing. Both Zinke and President Trump have been criticized by environmental groups for a plan to open many of America's coastlines to oil drilling. Last year, the administration shrank 2 national parks in Utah by 2 million acres. That is the largest reduction of protected land in the country's history. The resignations also leave the US without a working group that can designate historic or natural landmarks.
In today's Hometown Stories from Fox 13 Tampa Bay, volunteers at Florida Hospital Wesley Chapel are making sure patients get some extra comfort in their hospital rooms. The group, called So Caring, sews pillows and blankets to make patients' stays a little more homey.
It just makes us feel like if we can do something special for people who are in the hospital, they're at an anxious moment, a lot of people, and if we can do anything small just to make them feel better, that's our goal.
In our second story from Fox 9 Minneapolis, the city is getting ready to host the Super Bowl, and in honor of the big event, Minneapolis will have a 10-day Super Bowl festival. One unique feature will be the Berkey Bridge, a cross-country ski track that will go up and over 9th Street in Nicollet Mall. The bridge was transported from its usual home of Hayward, Wisconsin, and snow will be trucked in to bring some winter sports to downtown Minneapolis. And better yet, the Minnesota Vikings still have a shot at making it to the big game. In our final story from Fox 35 Orlando, former Army Staff Sergeant Elena Smiley and her 2 children got the gift of a lifetime after they were presented with a mortgage-free home. All thanks to the nonprofit Homes on the Home Front. The organization partners with financial institutions to donate bank-owned homes to military veterans. And Elena is overjoyed about her new digs.
I do believe in miracles, and today has been a miracle for me.
What an extraordinary gift for such a deserving family. One of the largest sellers of beauty products in the country is making a change that could impact several major cosmetic companies. To promote women's empowerment, CVS announced it will not use airbrushed photos on beauty products in stores, online, or in marketing campaigns. That means you'll see more images like the one on the right, which has not been digitally altered compared to the image on the left. CVS will alert shoppers the model has not been altered by placing this image, called the CVS Beauty Mark, on the packaging. But that's not all. CVS carries brands like Maybelline and L'Oreal and is asking them to do the same or put a label on its packaging signaling the model was modified. You'll start to see the beauty mark in CVS stores as soon as April.
The richest man in the world is using his wealth to send thousands of immigrants to college and honor his father's legacy. Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon, donated $33 million to an organization called the Dream.US. The money will be given to children brought to the US illegally, also known as Dreamers. Dreamers have been protected from deportation by federal law, but that protection is currently being debated in Washington. The $33 million will help about 1,000 Dreamers pay for college, a big boost since they cannot receive federal financial aid at all and are eligible for state financial aid in just 6 states. Bezos says the donation honors his father, who came to the US from Cuba as a minor.
Anyone who watches The Real Housewives of New York knows the show brings a lot of drama. But 2 of its stars recently had a touching reconciliation. Jason Matheson, host of The Jason Show on Fox 9 in Minneapolis, has the details. Jason?
Kristen, this is such a great story because out of tragedy, something great can happen. What I'm talking about is Real Housewives of New York star Bethenny Frankel attended the funeral of Bobby Zarin. Now, a lot of you will know that Bobby Zarin is the husband of former Real Housewives of New York star Jill Zarin. And if you watch the show, you know that they were besties for 2 seasons and then had a very dramatic fight in season 3, which led to the end of their relationship. And they really haven't spoken consistently since then. They've even traded barbs, but this tragedy has brought them together. Bethenny even posting some really beautiful tributes to Bobby on her Twitter account. Kristen?
Thanks, Jason. It's good to hear they were able to put those differences aside in light of this tragedy.
Explorers have discovered the deepest cave in Canada, stretching roughly the length of a 35-story building. The cave, named Bizarro Anima, is in southeastern British Columbia and accessible only by helicopter. It was discovered by a 9-person team of voluntary explorers early this year. One of the explorers, Jeremy Bruns, first found the entrance to the cave 5 years ago, and on an exploration during Thanksgiving, they were in so deep they realized they didn't have enough equipment to continue. Bruns said, "We are really excited at the notion of being places where nobody has ever been before, making a map of that and discovering new things and bringing that back to share with our colleagues and the wider community." The explorers had to sleep underground in the cave for a week because it was too far of a distance to keep hiking back in and out. At more than 17,000 feet in length and a depth of nearly 2,200 feet. For car makers, naming new models is a combination of art and science. The New York Times reports car companies view getting names right as crucial to a model's success. Many companies have their own language for new cars. Volkswagen has often named models after winds, like the Passat or the Scirocco. Lamborghini uses the names of bulls, like its new Urus SUV. Ford uses many names that begin with F, like the Fusion or Focus, with the Mustang being an exception. Some luxury brands like BMW and Mercedes-Benz use names with letters and numbers that refer to things like engine size. One challenge branding companies and marketing executives face is that there are fewer names available to be trademarked. Tesla wanted to call its new Model 3 the Model E, but Ford owns the name. The process of coming up with a single name can take a year or more. People who struggle with conflict in childhood are more likely to have health problems as adults. A new study from the University of Virginia says that kids who don't handle conflict can feel the repercussions well into adulthood. Researchers interviewed kids in middle school and observed them as they interacted with peers. The team followed up with them as they matured and gave them a blood test at 28. They found that adults who struggled with conflict as children had elevated levels of a protein called interleukin-6. The levels were lower in those who were better at handling childhood conflict. The protein is associated with arthritis, osteoporosis, and cancerous tumors. The study's lead authors said humans are pack animals, and adolescents know that getting along with peers will make or break you. The team concludes parents should teach kids that they can still stay friends with people who disagree with them. A new video shows viewers where stars were formed. NASA has produced a 3-dimensional trip through the Orion Nebula. It's been called a star nursery because new stars are created there. The video combines images from the Hubble and Spitzer space telescope. The Hubble shows images that are visible to humans, and the Spitzer uses infrared to look through the cosmic dust around the nebula and sees inside it. There are also some of what the team calls Hollywood techniques to combine the tens of millions of layers of gases that form the nebula. Unlike the flat images seen through a single telescope, the video shows depth and structure that humans on Earth normally cannot see. The nebula is about 2 million years old. It's more than 1,300 light years away. Scientists say the video could show astronomers what our own universe looked like more than 4 billion years ago.
Eat Offbeat, a catering company based in New York City, provides its customers with unique, authentic dishes from around the world, and its food reflects its staff. Eat Offbeat exclusively hires chefs who are refugees that have relocated to the New York area. It all started when founder Manal Kahi, who's originally from Lebanon, was looking for some great store-bought hummus, but none had that special homemade taste she was looking for. So she got her grandmother's recipe and started making her own. Manal's hummus became so in demand, she decided to start a business from it. And she knew the only way to get the authentic taste she wanted was to hire people actually from that part of the world. So she started hiring refugees to cook in her kitchen. Now her staff represents 15 countries, 12 languages are spoken in the kitchen. It doesn't get more authentic than that. Hey Richard, what's coming up on our next show?
Kristen, we are talking about fighting winter depression. 20% of Americans say winter affects their mood. We'll have ways to stay healthy. More Americans are taking out loans, but they might not be right for everyone. And these horses are getting a new friend after being rescued. It's all coming up on the next Top 30.